Hey guys, it is time to set up March in my journal and I have been patiently waiting for this moment because I can finally use this beautiful country ballad washi tape full of green trees and grass with flowers, grazing cows and horses. It looks quite peaceful, calm and warm, and that's what I want to have in my journal in March. This washi tape I got recently from the washi tape shop and it is a part of a set. This tape is working as a foreground layer with bigger and more detailed illustrations. Then there is the middle ground with distant fields and mountains, and there is also a stunning blue and white sky tape with some birds as the last layer. I do not have the full set. I only have this tape, but I believe I still can create a fun page with just this one. The full design is 1 meter long, which is so fun to play with. You can layer it however you want and create so many different scenes. And because I want to use as much of this design as possible, this full spread will be just a cover page and I will put the calendar on the following spread. If you have watched any of my previous Plan With Me videos, you might have noticed I love to have decoration concentrated mostly on one page and then I put the calendar on the other. But this time it will be different. In fact, I think everything I set up in this video is unlike any of the pages I have set up in a long time, which is so exciting. I love my tried and true layouts, but I also like to experiment with them from time to time. I was really delighted with the idea of this river flowing off the corner of the page, so I put that part of the design down first, and I noticed there is yet another section with water on the tape, and I wondered if these could be put on top of each other to create a bigger design, and they could. That's so exciting. It feels like there was a lot of thought put into designing this tape. There needed to be few sections cut out of the tape I put on the page later just to make the design more seamless, and I think it looks really nice. I did not do the best job at this, so there are some white sections where I managed to cut out too much, but I am not overly bothered with that. Using 2 pieces of this tape could have maybe be enough. A piece of cloud washi tape on top of the spread would also look really nice there, but I wanted to see what would happen if I layered this tape 3 times, and I like it a lot. For the final touches, I added a bird into the river and some more flying at the top of the spread. I got these bird tapes only recently from Journal Say, and they have become one of my most used tapes. I find an opportunity to use those birds anywhere because they are so lovely. Lastly, I added the March title in the bottom right corner and the cover page is done. On the following page there is a calendar spread, and because I do have quite a lot of space to work with, I am trying a bigger calendar this time. Every box is 6 by 5 squares big, plus additional row is used for dates. For those I used 2 different green markers to separate the dates row from the calendar and to make the calendar prettier and more colorful, of course. Because there is not much space left around the calendar, I am not using the same washi tape as I did for the cover page because that one is quite white, but I looked through my stationery and picked everything green I had. There is this green paper with hollowed out sections I was so excited to use. I would love this even more if it was a sticker, because putting glue on all those tiny sections was interesting. I used a glue pen for this, but I could only find one with pink glue inside. I am sure I have a yellow one as well, and that one might have looked better. It would definitely be less noticeable, but pink was what I had on hand, so I used that. And after I put it on the page, there was some pink seeping through, but then it was too late to do anything about that. I went over the pink marks with white gel pen later, and it helped to reduce it slightly. I also went through some of my sticker books and I found these lovely butterflies, so those are now a background for this girl sticker. I then put a few different washi tapes around the spread to not have too much blank space in here. This March title I printed in hopes to use for the cover page, but since that turned out very green, this title was blending in way too much. It was also quite small, so I made another one to use there, and this one thankfully fit perfectly between the sections of the calendar. And yes, I put 2 last days of March in the first row, mostly because I rarely do this and I wanted to see how I would like having a calendar like this, also to maximize the use of space and to make the calendar boxes as big as possible. Then I found some circlet stickers and they were perfect in color, so I of course had to use them on top and bottom of the spread, and the calendar is done. I am excited about this change in the layout, about having more space to write stuff down, and I can't wait to start using this calendar. On the next page there will be my routines and a couple additional sections I tried in February for the first time, and I quite liked having them in my everyday journal, so they are staying for March as well. The first section is there for me to write down books I am reading during the month. I know I have a separate reading journal, but I also like to write down books I am reading in here as well. I put a lot of decoration in this corner, so much so there was not really a space to neatly write down the list of books, so I went through my stationery and I found this lovely sticker of paper clipped on a board, and even the colors were what I was looking for, so there was not even much thinking involved whether to use it in here or not. This sticker book for planning I have had for a year or so, but I rarely used it because I did not want to, quote, lose these stickers by using them, but that's the kind of thinking I am trying to get over. I will now have a full month to enjoy this sticker, and I can always come back to this page later, or I will be able to see it once I will flip through these pages, weeks, months or years from now. It is certainly not losing this sticker. Let's just use what we already have, guys, because these stickers or washi tapes or what have you, they will lose their stickiness or maybe even color with time, and then we will not be able to use them at all unless we use glue or something. So this year I am going to try and use stationery I was avoiding using because I found it too precious or too pricey. Well, money was already spent and the stationery can be now precious in my journals. And I am sure I will enjoy it much more like this. Anyway, this section in the bottom left corner is for memories. I will be writing there anything interesting happening during the month. And the right half of this page will be used for routines. I found these cute blank calendar stickers and I was able to fit 3 in here, so I will track 3 routines. My workouts, if I slept 7 hours, and if I ate a homemade meal. Everything having something to do with my health and fitness journey. I started taking it more seriously at the end of January when I finally got over a flu or something, and I can happily say I've been keeping up with it. I am aiming for 80% succession rate and I am exceeding that, which is lovely because it means I can hopefully keep up with that long term. You have surely noticed I am writing these titles myself. I know, who am I to not print this out? But guys, I simply did not want to bother with preparing the file, printing and all of that, so I found scrap pieces of sticker paper and took this as an opportunity to practice my handwriting, especially titles, because I am so bad at those. This is just simple elongated font and I find it looks good even when the writing itself is bad. I am just incapable of writing big, so that's why these titles are slightly smaller in size. Writing these first on a separate piece of paper instead immediately in the journal is less daunting because I can redo this as much as I want. And using sticker paper is great because I don't need to deal with glue and I can put these titles anywhere, even on top of stationery that is already on the page. On the right page, there is a space for all tasks that would need to get done during the month without me having to assign a date to them right away. I write stuff in here as it comes to my mind and then I pick from this list as I go. I usually prepare a half-page column for this, but I took the opportunity to have a bigger decoration on this page and I put this lovely scenery in here. I had another illustration in mind, more bright and colorful, but I switched to this moodier one and I love it so much there. It complements the decoration on the left page so beautifully. And now for the last spread I am setting up today, and that is a space to write down my meals throughout the month. For the past 2 months, I have been preparing this meal tracker every Sunday evening for it to be ready for next week. So the structure of my week was first meal log and then daily entries. When the next week came, I again had a meal log and continued with my daily entries. And I quite enjoyed this approach, but sometimes I am just too tired to prepare this list or table, even when in reality it does not take long at all. So for March, I am going to try having one full spread dedicated to it, which means I won't have to think about setting individual weekly tables during the month. Instead of writing down Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday on the left side, as I usually am, I am writing down the date, so March 2nd, 3rd, 4th and so on. And next to that there is a line for each, breakfast, lunch and dinner. Simple and easy, there's no need to complicate that. I can fit 2 weeks worth of meal logs on one page. I could definitely fit more. There is a lot of space left and I did not include every single day of March in here because I will include the last 2 days of March in the April setup. I like setting this up in weeks, mostly because it is easier for me to use and because at the end of each week I like to write down weekly statistics like my average step count or the average amount of calories I consumed. I do track those in an app, but I prefer to write things down in my journal as well, and because I like to make these weekly reviews. I do have a separate health journal, but I found myself not really using it for the meal stuff, so I moved that in my regular journal for now, and the health journal is there for tracking my workouts and other data. Decoration is again mostly green and I am so excited I could use this green dot pen that has a regular dot nib on one side, but the other side has a 4-leaf clover shape and it is so adorable. I am not sure you can see it clearly on the footage, but I used that pen on dates, so on the left side of each column. I could not decide whether I would like to do second line highlights or this kind of like lined paper markings, so I did both and it definitely brought more interest to the page. All of the washi tapes used on this spread are from the Mellow Days, as well as is this journal I'm using. I absolutely adore this washi tape with green leaves. I don't think it is currently available, but I hope they will bring it back. Everything I could find links for is, as always, linked in the description in order it was used in the video, if there is something that piqued your interest. And that, guys, is the whole setup done. On the following pages I will have my daily entries. I do not set this up in advance because some days I need more space to write things down, especially during weekends, and some days I need just a couple of lines, and that is impossible to predict. So I prefer to build my daily entries and add titles during the month. Also, it makes it fun to add some decoration here and there, and I want to experiment with that more as well. I would love to use the country ballad washi tape, the one I used for the cover page, a couple more times during the month, since it is so lovely. And now let's flip back so we can flip through my March pages. I love how this setup turned out, especially because I rarely use green. I keep talking about how infrequently I use pink in my journals, but I think I use green even less. In fact, I can't remember the last time I had fully green setup in my journal. If you enjoyed this video, this setup, and you would like to see more, there is another setup video waiting for you on the right side of the screen. Thank you so much for watching. Have absolutely a lovely day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.